Yo, 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 yo. Um, First and foremost, I think before we actually get these things started, unfortunately, unfortunate situations happen. And, I've talked to countless folks and, people related to this matter that I'm about to address and speak on. But, we did lose a fellow artist, a fellow brother, a fellow friend, here in the city by the name of DeNero. Some may know him as Cody Bell. And unfortunately, this past week, we had that loss. Just an unfortunate incident. And, I was asked of what I would say, on the show, in regards to something like this happening, which this has never happened. And I've been fortunate to not, have a history of losing a lot of people. And I feel completely blessed and blessed to have certain folks around me, if not all the folks who I keep within my inner circle. And unfortunately, we lost one this time around. And, to all the family, to all the friends, all the loved ones, I hope that, they're keeping it strong and, keeping his memory alive. But in situations like this, I personally like to look at the great things that this person or any person who has passed that we know of has done in their lives. So whether it was music, whether it was, being one of the best friends they could be to people and, inspiring people, things of that sort. This is one of those guys who was doing all of that. And, shout out to a good friend of mine, close friend of mine, my brother Entry. He actually linked us together and, we were able to, pretty much hit it off, whether we were watching fights, whether we were, just having a drink at the bar, having our few hour talks, and like I said, when I say inspirational, this is a man who's all about that without effort. And that's one thing I really do appreciate. He's the same guy who will champion his friends, champion and support and try to come up, as a visionary, come up with ideas to progress that artist or progress that friend of his to succeed and move forward. And that's one thing that I think we're lacking is to support one another enough. And this guy was definitely the blueprint of that. So, with all that being said, I want to say rest in peace, rest in paradise to our good friend DeNero. And yeah, with that said, in regards to championing different, people and friends of ours, whether you're here or not, I have a man next to me who is doing just that. And that is to pretty much shine light, support, pretty much establish a showcase to showcase the talent that we have here in our city of San Antonio. And something that I think that is way overdue that needs to be done. And going on his second showcase, we got Alan Garza in the building.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, brother. We see you out there working. You're doing a great job staying consistent, doing the same thing that you just mentioned I'm doing, which is, trying to keep the culture, trying to uplift it in any way you can, using your talents, your creative mindset, and your platform to do that. So it's a pleasure to be here with you as well. I appreciate that. First off, I want to go back and say, rest in peace.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
DeNero. I'm sorry to hear that for Entry.
Entry, sorry.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I always get confused with the name. I was
now you're
good. Condolences to him, to his family and stuff. I never got to personally meet DeNero, but from what I'm hearing, man, it was a great person to have in the culture. To have around.
It's definitely like how would you say it? There's these individuals that just come every here and then where they're just so impactful. I think they all about that because I think the people you surround yourself with, the people you support, they all have impact. Whether it's musically or just their presence alone. I think their artistic abilities. I think that's one thing that we need to stand behind more frequently than we do, more consistently than we do. And I think that, I'm actually glad that we able to link up. And I will shout out J-Boy, a good friend of ours, for linking us together because, some of these things, even though we're trying to be as involved in things in the city as much as we can, we don't catch wind of everything.
For sure.
But somebody we know does. And, and I'm glad to have people like J-Boy in my corner who, show us and tell us and, share with us the the resources and the people that he knows who are really trying to push the culture forward. And if anybody knows J-Boy, we all know that he's all about the culture.
Yeah, for sure. That's another one, man. He's super dope to have around.
Yeah.
Culture pushers. There's a lot of us out there. And I think the more we come to know each other and network and connect, I think that's where the power is going to start coming.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I love about, I guess you could say, the industry and the little industry that we're a part of is that, whether we're podcasting, whether we're doing, some other form of media or engineering, being an artist, as you can see, we have like, art pieces behind us, all our friends who are involved in the music business, all that stuff kind of goes hand in hand, and all of it can, tie in together to where we can assist each other in any kind of way.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs. Right?
Facts.
No matter what craft it is, like you have to treat yourself like the business that you are.
Of course, the brand.
And that's how I think we connect or relate is what I want to say, besides the love of the art or the art of creating.
For
right?
sure.
Or the love of creating, excuse me.
For sure.
So, as the entrepreneurship, we can relate. And then on the creative side, we relate twice. And I think that's why artists, once we do start meeting each other and connecting and collaborating, that's where, we relate, we connect, and then we start collaborating and doing things just like right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like manifesting.
Just a little backstory, because I do feel like, and I think you've expressed to me enough that you're more behind the scenes. You're behind the scenes kind of guy. You're not showing face all over the place, but you are the face behind what's maybe becoming a movement, right? So if for those who are now witnessing and being, seeing you for the first time, what would be a little backstory to you?
Sure, I appreciate that. Again, to properly introduce myself, my name is Alan Garza. I'm the creator and founder of Mind and Soul Music, which is an indie music label here based out of San Antonio, Texas. We've been around for about, technically on paper, about 10, 12 years. But, my backlog story always goes back, to
further. Yeah.
So teenage years, starting off with my brother Leon Shannon in high school. We went to Southwest High School. So
shout out to the Dragons.
Southwest and all that good stuff. But yeah, so I started back in high school, and then, little by little just started, doing things that what record labels do. So then I realized, well, damn, let me start a label,
get involved. Yeah,
let me start a brand. And so Leon Shannon was my first artist, and I have a couple of artists that I've worked with and I've tried to push. And I've always wanted to connect more with the city, right? Go out to the shows more and stuff. But, certain lifestyles don't let you do that, right? I wasn't the type to always be out there, but, the culture, the music, I was tapped in. I was always watching and seeing what everybody's doing, trying to collaborate as much as I could at that time, right? But, over the years now we're talking about 20 years now, being around the culture, working on our craft. Now I feel like I've always been focused on building my foundation, or I like to say our foundation, right? My boy Leon Shannon, like, even though right now he's not active, I still feel like he's a part of this, right? And like, I wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah, right? You got to always,
he was my first artist.
Dish out those flowers too, to the people who helped you start.
I meant to have him a part of this event, which, we'll get into the event, but
sure.
So 20 years seeing the culture and then learning and kind of seeing the struggle of the artist, right? And me experiencing it myself of, trying to push your music, trying to push your artist music, trying to push your brand, and ultimately trying to convince people to like your shit, right?
Yeah,
like, hey,
that you got next.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so, you felt all the blues, all the failures, all this, the nerves, everything that, at the end of the day builds character, right? And if you can withstand it. And so I knew I was focused on my artist because I was like, okay, like I had to prove to myself that I can blow an artist up, right? Or bring them up.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go offering my services to all these artists without me actually proving that I can do it, right?
Or supporting what they do. At the same time, you want to get behind something that, you feel like you would.
It's a representation as well. And what's going to be, it's not just marketable, but it has to be real and genuine, right? And
for sure.
The intentions, everything, the art, the music. If you start talking crazy and doing crazy stuff, it can sound cool for, at the time, but you know, how long does that last, right?
Yeah.
And so
I have a question for you though. When it comes to that, because I feel like we kind of had a similar experience as far as our come up. You know, me being involved in music early and understanding these failures you speak about. You know, whether you had moments of success, whether you had moments of, you know, like where things just felt like amazing, and then you had your downs, right? And I felt like, you know, especially being part of a team, you get a lot of that. You know, it only takes one apple in the group to really slow things down or just make things, you know, come up to, you know, a complete halt. And I feel like I know what that's like. So when you know, I relate to when you express that part of it. And that's one thing that I feel like maybe is not expressed enough, is that experience of like, you know, when you're putting a team together, you know, make sure that everybody plays the role and that they're not just there because they know you. You know what I mean? That goes back to like my whole issue with Yes Men, you know, and you know, whether we're there to play a role in regards to like, is this song good? You know, is the sound good? Is the instrumentation good? You know, whenever we're creating records, like we should have the right people involved to be able to assist us when, you know, to let us know, hey, are we fucking up, or, you know, is this the way to go? And a lot of cats show up there just to do absolutely nothing, and, you know, and or claim to have this role that they're not really going to fulfill. And, you know, sometimes you got to be that guy to break that news that, you know, you're not suitable for this team. And I think that if we did a little bit more of that and just incorporated those who have that drive, have that will to work, I feel like a lot of teams or just artists in general will be in a different place. Now, would you say you've seen a lot of that in your time?
Yeah, I've seen, I think, yeah, unfortunately, it's almost the nature of the beast. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, especially over time and years. Like, only so many people have the stamina and the drive to withstand, you know, 10 years of investment, 15 years of investment, and still believe and not let go of the dream and the mission and the purpose. And ultimately, like, that's why I think if you truly love just to create and love just to be around the music and the art, there's no time limit, right? Like, you're in it forever.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at, right? Like, I'm convinced, like, I'm forever going to be an artist. Like, I'm not an artist, like, publishing music and stuff like that. I'm an artist at heart, in my mind, in my spirit, right?
And everything you do, probably.
I love to create, even my business, I treat it like art, right? When I set up these events that we have, I try to treat the event itself as an art piece, right?
Of course,
experience. And so I'm truly an artist, and I have the vision, and the reason that kept me into this industry and this business from the get-go is because I knew one day I wanted to, like, be an artist in all ways, right? In different kind of ways. And so me allowing to find myself on the business side of things has kept me, you know, in the loop to where I feel like I want to retire, you know, and I always said, I'm trying to buy myself time to be an artist. Like, I went and started my construction business and all these other, you know, I've been trying to find other ways of sources of income to create, to just invest into the dream and be able to have the money to pay my bills and then build off of that. So, you know, I know I have my visions of, you know, playing the blues when I'm older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing stuff like that. So I look forward to that time. But I feel like right now I'm in a point where I want to finish what I started and continue to build what we started, you know, with my friends. And I have my brothers, you know, Thoda Roses, you know, Leon Shannon. I got another artist, Don Welch, that, you know, like, I'm never going to give up on them if they don't give up on me.
Right? For sure.
And I will continue to push their shit even if they get older and whatever. To me, music has been proven, especially with what's the one cat that won all these Grammys from Atlanta? Mike, Killer Mike.
Oh, Killer Mike. Yeah.
He's been in the game forever.
Yeah, shout out to Run the Jewels, man. Yeah.
Dropped a super dope album and made history.
Yeah.
And it proved to everybody, like, rap, hip hop no longer has an age, bro.
No, not at all. I mean, he's just one of few, because you have the Killer Mikes of the world. I mean, you had the Jay-Z's of the world, who even outside of the music just expanded their empire, you know, whether they're creating brands or becoming partnering up with brands, just to expand everything. And, you know, and that's that should be the goal for everybody, because yes, music is a piece, or whatever artistic thing that you are into is just a piece of what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Even if we're doing like, I love that we get to do podcasts like this, because we get to speak about the different talents, the different avenues that you're taking, in your course, in your run. And whether you're an artist today and then maybe 5 years down the line you find some success, and you're branching out and you're catching shows in different cities, and then the opportunity comes to either get a liquor deal, right? And
exactly.
you get that happens, and then next you're in a commercial for Coca-Cola. I don't know.
Exactly.
And these things happen, and that's all revenue, and
exactly. Yep.
Yes, some people feel like, and I'm gonna sound like a hater probably, but I feel like people who are not thinking about that, that next chapter, whether it's making money off of your craft and partnering up with other businesses and being sponsored and things of that sort, they don't think about that because they've never been nowhere near. So they don't know what that's like. And they think that, I'm just here for the art. But it's like, at the same time, who doesn't want to make a living off the craft that they've spent and invested so many years into?
To me, that is the definition of success, brother. Like, it's not the $1 million views, right? The million likes. It's not all going viral, right? It's if you're able to find a way to make a living off your craft, you are a success.
You have
100%.
You have achieved the dream.
It's amazing. That is the freaking dream.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I can't sit around and like, if the moment I start hearing somebody act like they don't care about the money, they don't care about certain things, or like performing here or doing this over here or receiving an award for this,
then you don't really love the craft.
You're not.
It's a hobby.
Yeah,
you're just doing it for fun.
It's not serious.
Yeah, exactly. Which is that's the respect that you're gonna get out of it. Like in return, if people are gonna respect you if you treat it like that,
sure.
People are more respected when you really treat it like a business, treat it like a real craft, and give your passion and all your all to it, right?
Because you can still give your 100%.
Yeah, and everything
just
you
because,
do.
Just because you want to succeed and eventually make a living does not mean that you're selling out or anything like that.
That just reflects like their work ethic and their mentality, and so it's nothing wrong. It's a hobby. It's cool. But at the same time, like you said, and that's where you know who to take serious, who you don't, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I wish we had more people who like also focus on the business side of things, because the artist sometimes is not the most successful person in the camp.
Oh, for sure.
And we've seen moments where the writers are the most successful, the managers, and I don't think we have enough of that either. Even people who like yourself who are setting up the events, like a lot of people are not thinking about that. They just want to be a part of the event and go. It's like, but think about being able to bring together, and I guess this is a way we can get into the show itself, is that the show coming up, you're bringing together a wide group of artists, not just music artists, to perform and to be a part of a showcase, but also painters. And they get to be a part of this too. Like, tell us a little bit about this event in general and how did it even come about?
Yeah, it's crazy because I guess, I don't know, man. It's funny because I trip out too, because I'm like, what am I doing sometimes? Like when I was creating it and I was starting, I was like, but honestly, I mean, to be as honest and transparent as possible, I call it like, it's like I had a vision, right? And I think after all the 20 years of being around, like I said, seeing the pain and know the struggle of artists,
that was the motivation.
Always, that, and always just wanting to be involved with the city, right? I always wanted to engage with everybody, like because I know, like I said, like I can relate. I want to help. I want to support, but I just never did so often because I was worried about building my foundation, right, and making sure that when I came to the table, I had something to bring to the table, right, and that's where I feel like I'm at now. Yeah. So now I can bring something to the table and offer something that could help and benefit others. Right?
Sure.
And so, I guess with having the venue, having a brand and a label, and just, having an entrepreneur mindset, this was a way for me to kind of get everybody involved, as well as having a passion for the culture and for the city and for music and art. And I'm like, yo, like, what if, I don't know, it was a vision, like in the middle of the night, just what if we have paint artists like make paintings of these hip hop people and just create like a culture and a museum? And I was like,
yeah, all these thoughts come up. Yeah.
I was like, damn.
And even to
art and hip hop.
And sorry to interrupt, but like you just reminded me that a lot, like, if people don't notice, I mean, we're inside a gallery, there's a lot of, there's upstairs, downstairs, there's, artwork on the walls, there's artwork outside. There's artwork down here, as you can see. And a lot of the art pieces in here are artists from our city. They're people from our very own city that you guys have, incorporated in all these art pieces. I mean, like, even just to name one that I see off top is, that boy Play. Somebody who's been involved in the culture for so many years.
Heavy.
And I remember even getting my start, he was already doing his thing.
Yeah.
And, to see him just on stages that maybe I've been a part of, and then, fast forward to being on these major stages with, mainstream artists. And, it's crazy because he came on the show some time ago and kind of gave us the insight of just his drive, man, the way that, he just shows he can show up to an event. And let's just say the host wasn't doing the job they're supposed to be doing. He might find his way onto that stage and take over the show. Yeah. And it's happened. And that's just somebody with determination and drive that is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it was great to have him be a part of the first edition. Like you mentioned, he's been around doing this thing for a while. And I'll be honest, I was surprised to learn the real That Boy Play, which is the entrepreneur and and the intelligent side. Right? Yeah, because out on the streets or the shows or
you see the presentation.
He's so funny, the comedy guy.
Yeah.
Right, which is great, the entertainer. Mm-hmm. But I was more impressed with the real That Boy Play, which I wish I knew his full name. I'm sorry, I don't. But
no, that's okay.
That's he's my dog. That's too, what. Man. Like you said, that's
when I meet people like with their whatever your stage name is. Yeah. That's who you are to me.
Yeah.
Like even if I learn your government at some point, I didn't meet you as that. And so even if he wanted to go by something else, I would be like, I just know him as Play. Like that's who that is.
At the end of the day, he's killing it right now. Yeah. He's creating a great name and a great brand for himself. He's bringing attention to the city.
Yeah,
he's building relationships with so many hard hitters in the nation, and he's a great look, and that's why he deserves to be recognized.
Yeah, in the position he's at. Yeah,
right. And
shout out to him too. I also saw him at South by Southwest.
Oh, of course,
by accident.
Yeah, of course, man. So, he's one of so many artists, right? Like, there's so many artists we can talk about, right? You have Devin, right? We have Vision. Yeah, P2 the Gold Mask.
Yeah. Right? Just to name a few.
Every single one of those artists have
7098s down the hall here.
Yeah,
so
everybody from the first edition. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, and then we start going down the list of the second edition art in hip hop. So just in case, we're talking about an event that we curated called Art and Hip Hop, and it's pretty much it was intended to capture the history of our hip hop culture.
Yes,
by utilizing local paint artists to create canvases dedicated to different cultivators of our culture, right? And that includes writers, producers, the hip hop, rap artists, videographers, photographers, even entrepreneurs, and people that supported the culture, right? I don't want to start dropping too many names, but for example, like Juan Gonzalez with Urban City, right? And Third Degree,
throwback,
right?
Yeah.
The way he paved the way and helped create Third Degree, one of the hottest, most popular rap groups.
Yeah, probably if not the hottest still.
You see what I mean?
At that time, like, in the history of our city.
So the ones that had the biggest movement. So, I say it like that because people always have the argument, right? It's like you leave it up for argument, but sometimes there's things there's no things for the debate, right? But anyways, so, Juan Gonzalez, he's not an artist, not a producer, but he's an entrepreneur out there. He blew up Urban City to be one of the most probably successful barbershops made and born out of San Antonio, and now franchising and expanding his franchise. So going back, he helped me with my logo. He helped me get my stuff started. You know what I mean? So
and
he was kind of like a mentor for me.
Yeah, you kind of reminded me of something though, because I remember I was obviously very young when, the Third Degree had their run, right? And, but I remember, showing up to the urban city, you know, and then, you know, maybe a little while later, you know, because you could go into urban city at that time and it wasn't unusual for Live Ola to be there, for Kali to be there. And then sometimes they bring in, you know, the Houston, you know, artist Magno would be in there from time to time, you know, and you just have all these different artists from our region, you know, just, you know, posted up in there, you know, and it was like,
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great time. Me, it was dope because, like, you know, at that time, yes, there was less rappers back then. There was less artists back then. So to kind of just see them and, you know, just kicking back, you know, like normal people was kind of cool to me. You know, especially artists who I was fucking with from Houston. Yeah. They would come down to Urban City all the time. You know, they would always have, you know, be presenting their new mixtape or their album, whatever they were doing at that time. And I thought that was like dope as shit.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then fast forward. Bro. Yeah, then you fast forward to, you know, when Cocked & Locked was like on the rise and doing their run, they had a storefront too, you know, and you could show up and get like every, you know, hot project in the city. And it was like, it was dope to experience that because you could show up there and, you know, Sos would be in there, you know, and you know, just countless other people, you know, I remember they had like their mixtapes with like a whole bunch of their crew in there. And even at times I seen Live Ola in there when he was a part of all that. And so to see all that and shit, even Ken at the time, you know, to be able to walk into these stores and it's crazy because, you know, Jay Lee, who was part of Cocked & Locked too, he helped me get popping with some of my merch back in the day, you know, my mixtape covers, things of that sort. Yeah. He helped me with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not only that, but, you know, I would talk to him whenever, you know, because he had the insight on whenever the mixtapes were on their way out before you knew. Yeah. And, you know, I get my hands on some of the early tapes and I was like, yo, this is dope. Just, you know, just out of, times, you know, just out of love, you know, and Jay Lee was one of those guys who was like, just really, you know, he was living the culture. Yeah. And so I always, you know, was appreciative of what he did for me at that time, you know, but it goes to show like, look at the shit that has happened here that maybe, you know, some of us will never experience. Yeah. None of us have a friend that immediately will open a store, you know, have a whole store. And then we're kind of like, our brand is the face of it, you know, in a sense. Right. And that's not common, you know, not only that, but even if somebody had not everybody has that drive or that hustle to even attempt to do that. Like, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing just to invest into what we're doing now, you know, for some people. And, you know, but if you really want to get it done, I mean, I think you know, you just have to have that drive to do so, and that hustle to do so. But you know, you name an urban city, and then, you know, like I said, mentioning Cocked & Locked it's just two examples of people who did it at that time. Yeah, for sure, brother. And that's what we're about. And so another thing I would just want to put out there on this event, like, we're not making selection of artists like in any particular order. Yeah. You know, we have more of like categories that we want to fill up, you know, like some of the OGs, some of the young, you know, more the newer, younger guys that are making a quick impact, right? Yeah, they left their print, you know? For sure. And then you have, you know, your producers, your DJs, and like I mentioned, so we just want to make sure we fill in those gaps. And it also depends on who's available and who's not. So, you know, sometimes we get like a little heat from, oh, well, you know, why do you get to decide? Or like, who are you to choose who gets, you know, who deserves this and does that? It's not really about, it's just more about kind of covering different categories and kind of including the North, the East, the South, the West, the Mexican, the Blacks, the Whites, you know, the DJs, the producers, and make sure it's all inclusive as much as possible as we select each edition. And it's a moment to take advantage too. Like, let's say you weren't a part of this showcase. There's always like the next one, you know, and will you be making enough noise and impact when that time comes to, you know, select the next lineup? Because, you know, maybe you weren't selected this time, but I mean, look how many artists you have out here. Like, everybody can't be chosen. And we understand that, like, everybody's not going to be happy. You know, somebody's going to be like, you know, they felt left out. You know, maybe a friend of theirs was included, but, you know, that doesn't mean that we're, you know, that we're including everybody like that. You know, we can't just put a whole circle in there. At the same time, like you say, you're trying to focus on bringing some OGs in, bringing some of the new artists. Maybe some of them have been out a few years. I'm glad that we have one of the artists who's a good friend of ours who's actually here today, who will be able to speak with us in a few moments. But, you know, overall, I think, who are some of the artists, before we let you go? Besides, you know, some of the ones that we mentioned. So a part of this lineup, man, I wish I had my flyers. I should have had my flyer with me, but well, I mean, I see some here. Yeah, can you open that up, Danny, real quick? We got the banner in the background. I know we got Bamsworth. So
Yeah, man. Bamsworth, and then we got Clef God that are going to be here right now. Share a couple of minutes with y'all. And tell a little bit more about the event.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the second edition, let me just go down the list, right? One of the special one for me that stood out was Chris P, right? Because obviously he has a backstory. Like, we can talk about all these artists, talk about people's background. We'd be here almost all night.
And this is to honor like the late Chris P.
There's Chris P, right? And we're gonna bring his family out, and we're gonna dedicate a painting in his honor, add him to our collection.
Nice.
Big Tex Johnny, right? Ace the shooter, videographer, and then Hoodlum, Southside Hoodlum. Like, them three together made history.
Yeah,
right? They kind of blew up together. They had a nice run together, and they're still having the run. All three of them are. They kind of helped each other blow up, and now each one of them are successfully on their own path.
Yeah, just doing their thing.
And they can easily come right back and keep doing it. So what they're doing and what they've done is amazing. So we wanted to add, something a little bit more modern, more unique.
Sure.
And a wide variety of different crafts. And like I said, videography and producing.
I see you got Bugsy on here too.
Boy, Bugsy, bro. Hypnotic the DJ. Like
Bamsworth Belly.
Bamsworth.
Of course.
Big Faye Dog. Who's a huge legend, man. And I love his story. And
talk about OG transition. Right there, though.
A real one, bro.
Yeah.
Probably one of our realest guys that we have in the culture, man, no doubt. And I love connecting with him because now, he's turned his faith to like Christianity and his music. Now he's a Christian rapper. So
the content has changed quite a bit then.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, bro, to see the transformation.
And some people get mad because it's like they don't like like artists do evolve and people go through different things in life, you know what I mean? And, it's to be upset that, an artist has, chosen a different path. I feel like it's one of the most selfish things ever, but I get it because you have your diehards. I know that I'm sure there's people out here who like, I will forever love old Live Ola, for example, right? Mm-hmm. But I've heard new Live Ola, after many years later, and I'm like, he sounds fantastic still to me.
Yeah.
And so but I know that there's always going to be somebody who feels a different kind of way. But it's like, if your favorite artist doesn't grow with the time, and they don't evolve with time, then I don't see them having a long run in this career, this chosen career path. So, but I love that what you're doing here. You're putting these artists together, whether they're from, the OGs of the past to, some of the up and comers, or even some that just been, like I said, involved for just the last few years or so. I feel like even artists who got in the game 10 years ago and been making noise for that time, I don't feel like they're old artists yet.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot
process.
to do.
It's a process.
Yeah. Bro. And, I just love that you're doing this for the city, because, I told you this when I met. I was like, I'm glad that I'm meeting somebody who cares. Yeah. Who's willing to do this, putting their own money on the line, and, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But you do it just out of love, for the culture itself. And I'm glad that we had somebody like you and that you were able to come onto the show and really, kind of give us a little insight on things.
Yeah, and letting me get my little plug in.
Yeah, man. April 12th,
so
man.
Appreciate it. And I just wanted to put things on the record, you know what I mean, out there. And I don't plan on doing too much of these podcasts but I did want to get a little bit involved. I'm glad it was y'all. I'm glad, likewise, that we were able to connect and meet. Now we got a relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Forever.
For sure.
And, we're going to push the agenda. There's a lot to talk about, man. And obviously we can't get it on today, but there's a lot of things that I think, we as collectives can come together and start really helping push each other the right way.
For sure.
Create an agenda for the city, create an agenda for the artists.
Yeah.
Have a calendar that has like releases of artists that are coming out. And that way we know what projects are coming out and we get ready to push each other's projects.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are like little things that we can all do. And it makes sense as a community and as a culture that we get on the same page like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not,
hopefully this, some of the words we had today will kind of inspire that. Yeah. And, even with some of the next, I know this is going to be the first time we kind of do this format where, we'll have a few people talking on this show today. And,
Bamsworth.
Yeah.
Clef God, thank y'all for coming. They up next, man. Great artist, bro. So,
but no, I thank you for that. And, for, like I said, for sharing and for doing what you do. Hopefully we get to see a lot more successful shows moving forward. But April 12th.
Yes, sir. We here.
April 12th. It's going down.
It's going to be amazing.
We're going to be posting it everywhere. We'll have it in the description down below. Hopefully, people who hear this before that show will be able to make it.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be something different. Yeah. It's going to be art pieces, artwork, artists, all in the building, live performances.
The experience is probably something different, man. I have confidence, like a humble confidence that this is something unique that we're creating with my brother, AV Expression. Sergio, I got to shout him out. I partnered with him 7 years ago, and we've been creating just a nice little, continuity here. So, yeah, just appreciate you for having me.
Man.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Y'all.
All right, man. Let's see who we're bringing in next, man.
Yeah.
Bamsworth.
What's the deal, baby?
You're back.
I'm back.
Yeah. I feel like there's a whole different energy today though.
Yeah.
This might be a hot weekend. I don't know.
It was, yeah.
Like I said, I wish
been busy.
Just 30 seconds ago, the story that was just being told. Yo, that's gonna be gold in my mind, man. I'm not forgetting this shit, man.
Oh my God.
But I do feel I'm just gonna put it out there so people kind of get just a peek of what we were talking about. I almost became a pimp once.
Yeah.
But it was just an idea of being converted that I didn't know if I felt right about that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait.
Yeah, be like, it's like, you hear about people switching over, like turning a girl a different way.
Yeah.
But to be the dude getting flipped is kind of crazy.
Hey, sometimes, but if you ever read fucking Iceberg Slim.
Yeah, no. Yes.
Yeah. That's a bitch turn Iceberg out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
On the game, so
that's crazy though. Yeah, I don't want to go around saying that I got turned out though. That sounds wild.
Like I'm lucky to see my mom was a P.
Really?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like,
is this a story that can be kind of told?
Yeah, but it just put me on a lot of game. You know
yeah. So she taught you a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
What, yo, she was in the game?
Yeah, my mom done everything. My mom sold, pimped, stripped. My mom.
I wish I knew this earlier. I'm fascinated.
My mom was gangster. My mom was in jail in Jamaica for 2 years.
I remember you always said your mom was gangster, but I didn't know she was like in the game, like pimping and all that shit.
My mom done everything.
That's crazy. But I bet you she got a crazy life story.
Yeah. If mine's crazy, hers.
You should put her on the show one day. Just y'all two.
We need to.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Nadine Wild.
Yeah.
Nadine gonna say some shit.
Hey, maybe we could be a part of this, man. One day.
The first time I knew my mom wasn't like no regular mom. Like she had went to do some bullshit and she came back and I thought I had her. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, how was grocery shopping? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she was like, "Don't play with me, play with your dick."
Jesus Christ.
Like straight like that. And I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
you can't tell me that." You know what I'm saying?
Your moms can't talk to kids like that. That's crazy.
He definitely did.
Man, she didn't give a fuck.
She
That's
fucked
crazy.
my head up.
Damn.
Like, who told her?
Yeah. She knew you knew something. She knew you knew something. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, shout out.
But yeah, man. So we are here. Of course, you're going to be a part of this showcase. Shout out to Alan Garza, who's setting it all up, and shout out to everybody who's working with him to help put this thing together. And coming off of this legwork show that we were just a part of the other day, was amazing because I feel like almost everybody in this room was there.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, shout out to Alan and you yourself, part of that card, along with a lot of our fellow artists out here in the city. I just felt like the vibe was amazing that night.
Hell yeah. Shout out Kevin and Yoda. They put together a hell of a
man.
card for that, huh?
Yeah, and just I love seeing shows where the people who come to see it are actually engaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, we know what it's like for everybody just to be holding the wall up, you know what I mean? And not really supporting or like caring, not even show, like too hard to show emotion.
Yeah, it definitely felt like everybody had a good time.
Yeah, man. Like everybody would just lose pause, and it's, you know what I mean? But like they were just like, everybody's feeling good, vibing together, talking and all that shit. I'm like, see, we need more shit like that, and bringing people together. I think it's different when creatives get to do it, and no disrespect to like certain promoters or anything like that, but I feel like when you're not really involved, like whether with the artists and things like that, you're not really fully in there the same kind of way that like one of us would be, we're setting it up.
Yeah, it's definitely a different type of engagement.
Yeah, man, and I love that. Your set, I like that you come in differently. Like I feel like your whole sound is different. You come with the earpiece on, you're all legit, and and that part is super dope. I feel like you really care about your sound, your production when you're performing for people. And overall, like, it's just never a disappointment.
I appreciate it.
I done been a part of like a handful of, shows that you've been, on the card for, and each one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I guess in a sense polished, but you've really found your sound.
I appreciate it.
Now, and what is your plan moving into this upcoming show next week?
Same thing. Just make sure I'm prepared, you know what I'm saying? Like, just ready to put on a good show.
Yeah, for sure.
Pick a good lineup. I kind of been busy with starting a business and everything. So, like the show the other day, I just ran it off the seat of my pants real quick. You know what I'm saying? But this one's gonna be a little different.
And that's what I like too, because we were just talking earlier that doing music is one thing, but expanding your your empire, testing out different avenues, like you say, you starting a business. I think we talked briefly about that the other day. And, I like that when an artist gets into, more than what they just, what you see, what I'm saying? Like being behind the scenes on things and, starting businesses, giving other people opportunity, because I'm pretty sure you starting a business, that means you employ people, and now you're doing something for somebody else to make a livelihood. And, I think that's always, I'll always champion that type of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to like this show, I guess, is there like a certain sound involved in your playlist that you want to make sure stands out to everyone?
Like on the show at the Legwork show.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it balanced. You know what I'm saying? Like to where it's like something for everybody. But I was peeping. I'm like, it's a lot of dudes in here at first. And
yeah.
It didn't seem like right before my show, it was like more girls was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I almost scrapped my auto-tune set and did a...
You're going to switch it?
Yeah, to a hip-hop set. You know what I'm saying? But then I was like, oh, there's enough girls here to get the auto-tune off. Not that the guys don't appreciate it, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know, man. I feel like everybody was just loving everything that was going on.
So it was. I had peeped that too. So I was like, they're gonna fuck with whatever. So I just kept the auto tune. That's the funner part of the show to me, anyways. So,
yeah.
But like a lot of times I'll do that. I'll just read the room real quick. You know what I'm saying? Make adjustments.
So have you made midway like changes to your sets based on the crowd?
Yeah, definitely. You know
I don't think a lot of people go into a showcase with that kind of preparation though, because they just show up with the set they have and it's whatever happens.
A lot of people got one sound though. You know what I'm saying? Like I could do a show
variation
any crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I could do an R&B set. I could do a hardcore hip hop set. You know what I'm saying?
We seen that. Yeah. That's when the shirt comes off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So just having it to where like everything I need is there if I gotta make an adjustment. To get the best results.
See, and that's that goes back to preparation. You know what I mean? I think a lot of artists can learn from that type of shit. And we've seen tons of artists who they don't want to be told nothing. They don't want to be told that you could do it this way or be prepped up this way. But look at how much easier it is for you to adapt.
Yeah.
Based on you willing to make any necessary changes when you need to. And a lot of cats don't be doing that. Like you said, one sound, maybe tunnel vision, it's my way or no way type shit. Yeah. And, I'm glad that you have that mindset, not only that, but like, you're well branded, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I like too about you is the creativeness doesn't stop. All that whole creative aspect, that whole mindset is just, I feel like that's always been you.
Yeah.
Even dating back to what we said before in our last show about, you being one of the first to ever do like a billboard out here. It's like, bro, like that's one of us on a billboard on the highway, dog. To me, that was like...
I'm one of the first people in Texas to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We would never see that, you know what I mean? And I remember when we saw seeing that, we was seeing people post that shit everywhere.
And it was in my hood.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
And it was just like, to me, that was amazing. Somebody branching out, thinking outside the box, going through and, finding any kind of way to, be a face somewhere, promote yourself in some, any kind of way. Because everybody can do a shirt, and of course we want to do that too. We want to sell our merch. But at the same time, it's just like, what about seeing me on the side of the road? You can't hide from me nowhere. Like, I'm everywhere.
Especially, like, that was up when I was on my Luna, so you had to pass that. That was on the way to the stadium. You know what I'm saying? So if you was coming from that direction, you had to pass that.
You had to see it.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to that Malaluna days too, man. Because
we were just talking about that. We were saying how Roman on the way over here, he was saying how it was cool that with that Final Four shit, like the city having something like that.
Yeah, I wanted to touch base on that because right now our city looks crazy, like in a great way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it looks like we've had like a weekend of festivals going on. You know what I mean? With the layout, the setup that they have.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, you had T-Pain out here. You had Travis Scott was here last night, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure where he was at again, but
no, I think it's tonight.
Oh, Travis is tonight.
Tonight, him and Shaq West at 1902, I think.
Oh, okay, so it is tonight. Okay, so by the time people hear this, it's already, hopefully y'all was a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's just so much that was going on, and then all this kicked off Friday. And I think this is just an amazing look for the city though in itself.
Yeah, like we definitely want more shit like that. I think because it's crazy. I feel like this been the craziest Final Four we had, and it's not the first one.
Yeah,
So it's like, I don't know what the difference.
Something was different here.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the investors were different. They're probably taking advantage of the, if it's going to be people from, all over the country coming through.
Why not, right?
Yeah, let's set up some shows.
Only be good for the city. And then there people are coming in town and branching out. Like, I went to this restaurant on the way over here called Flavor Rich to give me a room and some breakfast, and fucking there's people I'm seeing like people with Houston jerseys on, you know what I'm saying? People
from all over.
Down here for the Duke, you know what I'm saying? People are obviously down here for the Final Four. So it's like they way by Ingram, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the whole city getting some money off.
Yeah,
you know so that's beautiful.
Hotels, everything, and all these restaurants nearby. But it's crazy because I've seen like the footage of like some of these shows. I'm like, yeah, you can tell a lot of these people are not San Antonio, but it's it's dope to see that we're a destination for this event because it's just like it's causing all kind of great business for everybody. And not only that, I'm pretty sure a lot of great conversations happen too. Like I love talking to people from out of town. It's their culture is different from the region they're from.
We need an All-Star weekend.
Yeah,
it's gonna go.
We need to bring that back.
Yeah.
Do you think that will hit the same?
Hell yeah, I think it's gonna go crazy because, I mean, like it would for anywhere in Texas. So it's gonna be people from
all
over the world, but they're gonna flood in from Texas. You know what I'm saying? So.
I just love the some people don't care much about it, but I like when there is a celebrity impact. You catch them. One thing I wish I had caught Mello on the street yesterday. That would have been dope as shit. I'm sorry, probably Friday. I think it was Friday. Them being downtown and I guess they were receiving some jerseys or something. And, to be able to see that, and I'm like, man, dude, our city looks dope as shit right now. Like, and it's making like, waves all over the place because now other places or platforms are just talking about, hey, this is going down in San Antonio,
Exactly.
And it's good to get that light shined on us, for something. But one thing I did love about Friday's show is that I felt like we went into it and the mindset was like, yo, we got stars of our own too.
Yeah, for real.
And that's what I love to see is like, us, being put on the platform, just like with this show coming up, that's just another like big platform that's going to be showcasing the talent around the city.
Like when they put the lineup in the little group chat, I was like, damn, I got to perform after Duke. Duke performed really good. You know
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't. I mean, I know I'm gonna hold it down. So
but it's like but you're happy for your peers too. You know what I mean? And that's what I love too. I was like, man, this lineup does look a little crazy. And getting Duke to like kind of. I mean, I know he wasn't the first performer, but I think he really. That's when it kind of switched. There was a transition in the energy.
Yeah.
And Duke is one of those guys who just is able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
He's always been like that.
Yeah, I'll never take away any of his talent when it comes to crowd control and stage presence. All that stuff is amazing. And not only that,
people made me want to be good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, for sure.
And that's dope to hear because a lot of people don't admit shit like that. They won't say nothing like that.
So when I met Duke was like, we were around the same age, and Duke was like, when he was making beats, he was making most of his beats then. He was recording himself, like.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
He's an all-in-one guy.
Yeah,
that's
you know
why.
what I'm saying? He was and so, like, definitely made me want to make my own beats and be able to not just record myself, but engineer myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing one of my peers do it and knowing it was possible.
Yeah.
Definitely like turn shit up for me to wanting to do that and pursuing it.
What other inspirations would you say you had? I don't think we ever touched base on that.
It was Duke. It was around that time. It was my partner B Sharp, my uncle. He rapped and produced. You know what I'm saying? And then people like Big Crit.
Okay.
J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Watching like niggas at the next level doing that for themselves.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned some from here though, because I don't think not everybody mentions their peers. You know what I mean? And that's dope. You're willing to do so because we're the ones we see every day, right?
Yeah,
we see each other every day. We in studios, with different people every day. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's a pride thing, but some people I feel like they're afraid to say that.
Yeah, I don't know why they would be. Like me and Duke got one song. That's it.
Ever?
Like, yeah, ever. That's my people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is I don't feel like I don't have to work with somebody to appreciate what they do.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like people have asked me why I don't have more features. You know what I'm saying? But
stylistically, I think that y'all are a pretty decent match though. Like I feel like y'all could do a handful of records together.
Yeah, no, he just sent me we was in the studio last time I was in Dallas. Like
yeah.
The week before last, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like it's just we different paths and like she'll work out when it work out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And he stays working too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We both do. So it like also I'm big on shit organic, like shit happen when it's supposed to happen. We recorded something while I was up there. You know what I'm saying? Shit happen when it's supposed to happen. My point being just like
nothing forced,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't gotta work with everybody for it to mean I fuck with them or not. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like, so like I can support what you're doing without us doing a song. Like sometimes like because you also like I don't know. Like I'd rather do a song with somebody I know for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And now we did this song and we done got beefed up about a hoe or something. And like just, that's how that shit work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all wasn't even cool enough not to let that affect.
Let that slide.
You know what I'm saying? Like so it's just
and that's one thing you don't want, especially like if you got a good team together or you got good chemistry with somebody.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is something like that.
Yeah. You know
or just anything else to really like jeopardize all of it.
I just be more like about like when there's some people like I meet them and like I can hear what we could do real quick and I'll be like on top of it.
Yeah.
So it just depends. It depends on shit work out the way it's supposed to work out. You know what I'm saying? But just because I don't work with somebody all the time don't mean I'm gonna not give them their flowers and not be able to appreciate. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. What's next for Bam?
Shit, a lot. Just more building the brand. You know what I'm saying? As much as possible.
The new business kicking off.
Yeah, new business. You know what I'm saying? We developing like more of an ecosystem where like all the businesses feed each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's cool. We got the Mud Baby brand.
Yeah.
We got.
I need to get some of that brand, by the way.
Oh, we coming out with some fire. We just got to the point where we're gonna start printing some new shit. We got some
let me know
shit on the way.
Let me know.
So we got, like I said, the Mud Baby brand. We got Mud Made Customs, the printing company. Holiday and Roman just opened. That's been doing really good. We've been having some really steady business, some really cool customers, some really cool designs getting pumped out. Everybody's doing that shit. So
it's good to have it, everything in house too.
Yeah.
Because y'all got engineers, you yourself, an artist, and then beat maker, photography. It's like because y'all do your own videos too.
Yeah.
See, so it's like all in house. Like that makes it even doper. You don't gotta wait on nobody and just kind of do things when you need to do them.
It come with a lot more work and a lot more.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things that everybody could do it. They would. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? So we just gotta appreciate the problems.
For sure.
That it come with. Cause
and it always comes with something. Nothing's
you know
perfect.
What I'm saying? We just gotta appreciate it and accept it. Like I said, because everybody would be doing it. It would. If it was supposed to be easy, everybody could do it. You know what I'm
facts.
saying? So,
yeah. Well, I definitely look forward to seeing you in performance again. Like I said, every time I've seen it, it's always been, something different for me. Like it's based on whether it's the type of crowd or the type of venue it is. And right now we're looking at a pretty decent sized stage. So, I mean, I already know that type of atmosphere is going to be different. Not only that, but it being in gallery form, that's what's I'm more excited about as well. It's just to see you guys in that environment, that atmosphere is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I was out of town when they did the first show, but I was like, they had a cool lineup then too. They had Worldwide on it.
Shout out to Worldwide, man.
Saw the whole concept of that, and I was like, damn, this is a really, really thoughtful, cool idea. You know what I'm saying? Mix the art with mixing two different forms of art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they kind of go hand in hand.
Exactly.
So it's perfect. No, I think it's a dope thing. I'm glad that you're a part of the card. Like I said, I recognize faces from from the past on this card as well. But to know that somebody who's current and up and coming, somebody who I know personally, like that makes me more thrilled about it too. So I know you're gonna do your thing. You're gonna kill that shit like usual. And I'm looking forward to everybody as well, man. So we're gonna see you on the 12th, man.
Yeah.
But appreciate you talking with me, man.
All day.
All right, brother. Yo, so we back again. We got one more guest. Briefly met, and I think he's a man of a multitude of talents and experience. I guess it's fair to say. He goes by the name of Clef God, and actually, I'm gonna let you let the world know. What are we doing for this event?
Oh yeah, I'm Clef God. I sell insurance. No, I'm just.
Oh, I was like, damn, what?
Nah, I'm playing.
That took a turn.
No, I'm a producer, artist, engineer, videographer, one-stop shop. I develop a bunch of other artists. I'm a single full-time dad. I'm trying to get my daughter a mansion with one song. Like, that's the mission,
Nice.
So
the dream.
Yeah, so I work towards that. I've been doing this full-time since like 2013. So it's all I do every day, all day. And I help other people achieve their dreams as well. And so we can all go into the billboard, taking it over together,
Nice. So that just by you saying that lets me know that, like, I understand why the circle that was here today, why they rock together that way.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has that mindset of either pushing others forward, assisting others where it's needed. And I guess just out of curiosity, where did that mindset come from? Like, why did you feel like you needed to take that avenue?
The sad way to put it is, my dad left when I was born, and then my family has always been kind of like together but apart.
Yeah.
So I've always had that hole in my heart that needs family.
Yeah.
So I like
being around people.
I like the idea of building a family, a powerful family.
Yeah.
And and succeeding together and winning together.
Okay.
So I guess that's psychologically what drives it. And then the other thing that drives it is I'm like an Achilles. I want to be the greatest of all time. So helping others actually sharpens my sword as well. And doing all the different genres and working with all the different crazy talents, meeting other talents that make me want to run faster and go harder.
Yeah.
That's what also keeps me aspiring to go greater, So if you're
motivated.
by yourself in your own hamster wheel, you won't really go anywhere. So, being here, being there, working with the greatest of all time is how you become the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's a fact. And these are the type of individuals like yourself who I like to surround myself with, because the creatives, to be a creative is endless, right?
Yeah.
And it just goes on, and there's always a new idea, something fresh. And you'll only know that if you're, either partnered up or working with these individuals like that.
If you're out there, I tell every artist, like, you need to be going out there where business is being done.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just stay home and never leave,
Yeah,
and I
work from a computer.
Yeah, and if you get number one here, you're king of the small sandbox. But you got to go to the other bigger sandboxes and bring that knowledge back home to put your city on the map, per se, or make it become like a real pillar in the game. So I go to LA and I go to New York or Miami or Atlanta, work with the greatest out there where they're doing it at this higher level than we are. Then I bring that knowledge back here and try to help all my artists get on that level. And it's usually what distinguishes me. And like, they see the results and they're like, oh, it works, and I'm like, that goes from playing away games, not just home games. So
for sure. And that's one thing that, obviously people are not everybody's capable of travel, especially at a high rate. Like if you're on a plane like every other week, like not everybody can do that. But the idea that if you are able to and you have the opportunity to do so, you can learn from a lot of these different areas, these different cultures that, LA has a culture there.
Yeah.
New York has its own culture. You can go to Louisiana to experience something else. Chicago, the same thing. Like all these major cities have culture, and it's very different from where we're from. It's a different group of people. And so, to go out there and experience not only that, but if you're an artist like we're a storyteller, that's just more story to tell.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Part of your narrative.
Yeah. Not only that, but learning from, how did they market over here? Like, what are ideas that, they're doing over here that we haven't touched base on yet?
That's the part that doesn't change, right? You said there's multiple cultures and everyone has their own thing. We have ours. Well, the one thing that stays the same and what most 99.9% of artists are missing are the business part. The part they don't want to worry about. Like, no one wants to worry about those little dry things you have to worry about to make your business grow, So usually they'll hire someone or find someone to worry about that for them. But I say to every artist, worry about it yourself. Go learn business from the horse's mouth out there where they're doing business at the biggest level there is in the game. Like that's like the NBA out there. Yeah. Go learn business from out there. Talent wise, yeah, that's going to be different. There's lots of talent out here, right? But they're all missing that business aspect, you know. And no one really knows what questions to ask. So I go where people are directors at Universal and shit like that, and I ask them, how should I be doing this? What should I be doing? What do y'all look for? And major independent, even if I want to stay independent, what should I be doing to become a major independent? And they give you the game, you know. Like if you're in their backyard, they give you the game for free instead of having to pay for it through courses or whatever. So
it's all networking at the end of the day, you know. And you know, sometimes the people that you don't expect to be like amazing networkers are the ones who are doing it. You know what I mean? And you know, they're not afraid to, you know, get out there, you know, with the sharks and try to stir up a conversation in regards to trying to pull as much, you know, information and resource as possible with the time you do have. It's not, you know, let's just say you're sitting next to a billionaire, right? And you're having this whole conversation about how to become successful. A lot of these guys have that whole, we grew up broke, you know, background story, you know, and it was, you know, time investment, failures and things of that sort. And while that might sound a little, you know, corny or just like far out of reach, like it's a reality to that. Like some of these people are willing to share that information because they have a similar background. The only thing is that like I think a lot of people are just afraid to invest in themselves. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to lose, you know, like, oh, am I going to be able to pay my mortgage if I invest in this and it doesn't work?
The Birds on a Wire, which is a cool song that my daughter showed me. She's 8 years old, right? But I listened to that song and it encapsulated where everyone is right now. As far as the smaller sandboxes, they're birds on a wire. They don't want to leave the wire. They say they want to leave the wire. And then when a bird is leaving the wire, like, come on, they're like, well, no, I'm tired. Or no, like because I have all this going on. It's like, no.
It's an excuse at all times.
Leaving the nest is a leap of faith. You might fall, you might fly, but taking it is what 1% of the 1% do. And they're the ones that win, you know? And as far as capability of traveling, I tell everyone, there's no excuse. I drove my fucking car. I packed my whole studio in there. I take a partner to drive with me, and I went out there and made moves. Even if I had to sleep in a bathtub in the Airbnb, I'm just playing. But it doesn't have to be extreme like that. But I'm saying like anyone can do it. You
deal with whatever your circumstances are.
Yeah, anyone can do it. Even Travis Scott was talking about that on that one song. I was on a couch, now I'm on another couch. And he was just like telling his whole story. But I tell people like if you're not willing to leap of faith, almost not die for it, but if you're not ride or die for this, how is it going to take care of you for the rest of your life and your family and stuff? You really got to be like eccentrically crazy about stuff, or else you're not going to compete with all those eccentric crazy people that are making those millions off one song right now.
Yeah, because they're doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, I'm glad you kind of touched base on that, because I think that what people like, especially as a creative, as an artist, and I guess just because of the world we've been living in, we deal a lot more with rappers, like a lot of hip hop artists. So what I see, I guess from afar, is that everybody wants to live that life of their favorite rapper, right? Or that successful life. But even if you hear the interviews, even if you read their books and you check out the stories of what your favorite artists had to deal with first, a lot of these people are not willing to do what it takes. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are afraid to go into an unknown environment. Just because they don't know it, but it's like that could be what you needed to do was go there.
Exactly. That's like in that movie Oppenheimer, what Homeboy told him. Like theory will only get you so far. Execution is gonna really get you there. Yeah. And you'll see those variables. Yeah, physics tells me this apple will fall like this in a vacuum with no air. But when you encounter air resistance and things out of your control, that experience shows you how things really work. And now you're getting into real physics and quantum physics. So I'm saying like everyone's like a scientist. If they're not studying rocket science, but they're wanting to be called rocket scientists, that's just crazy to me. So a lot of people in the industry, they don't study. And I got artists right now, they don't have an ASCAP or a BMI, like where I meet them and they tell me what they're lacking. And that's what I'll develop a lot of people. So I show them ASCAP and how to properly register your stuff. And they got questions. I got all the answers because I went out there and got them. But yeah, if you're not studying your craft, like not the fun part, but the not fun part, then it's like you're playing with two hands tied behind your back. Trying to make it and then trying to have all your people acknowledge you as I'm a rocket scientist, like, and it's like, well, where's your name tag? Like, where's all the rocket scientist stuff you've done? Like, other than the fun part of being called a rocket scientist and fiddling with some machinery,
So, safe to say though, that like, I think, a lot of people they do live in that manner, right? I think that maybe they just want to do the fun part of it, because they think that it's not really just push play at all times, and yes, you do write music, you let's just say you're a beat maker. Those are just two little pieces of the whole thing, right?
That's the fun part.
You still, half the time, a lot of these artists, they don't do the engineering, they don't wait for the engineering or even the video aspect of it all. All this stuff is like, a lot of invested time and a lot of work, Now, anybody can point and shoot a camera. That don't mean that they're putting out a, top tier music video or something like that.
But the ones that are the best are the ones that, like,
study the game.
Anytime I see something that blows my mind, I go on YouTube and I'm like, how did Dr. Clips do this? How did Cole Bennett do this? Blah, blah, blah. I ask the right questions. I start working for an hour, like practicing it in my own editing.
Yeah.
And at the end of that hour, you feel like a Super Saiyan. Like, if you're not doing that every time you see stuff that amazes you, then you're just watching while everyone else is getting better and you're not getting better.
Yeah.
And as far as the opportunities part, because like I said, everyone kind of attributes it to, well, some people have opportunities, some people don't. I got in my car, loaded the studio, I went to LA making moves out there, doing the same video shoots I was doing out here, but out there, doing my same talented cook-ups out here, but out there, right? Rubbed shoulders with the right people, met the co-stars, music supervisors that work with other music supervisors to show like Power, Bel Air, Insecure, all these big shows, right? And then they started asking me for records for those shows. So as an independent with no label, I'll get hit up for a track, make it from scratch, the beat, the song. I'll record it myself as the artist, or I'll get another singer because I work with a lot of singers. They need a female vocal. I get a female vocalist on it. I'll send it off by the deadline in 2 hours. And then later on, we get good news that I got on season 2, episode 7, and it's like a major deal. And they pay me a fat $4,000 check of sync fee just to use the song. I still keep all the ownership of the song and still get to stream it and get all the publishing and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So all because
that's money you didn't have in that moment.
Everyone always asks me, how do you get syncs and can you do a course? I'm like, man, I got an easy lesson. Just go out there to Hollywood, where the promised land is, where all those music supervisors live. And just, even if you don't have any plays yet, make your own plays out there. When you film at film studios out there, the owner of that film studio is probably an artist as well, who's like big with a big following, or they're probably a videographer who works with like Drake and Tory Lanez and all them. Like, like you're more likely to run in Starbucks into a major executive, like you said, when you're having a conversation with somebody about something. The guy behind you might be
that guy,
the director of fucking Warner Bros. And he'd be like, hey, what are y'all talking about? Oh, I'm interested. Show me that song you were playing. I like that. Like, you're way more likely to run into people that can change your life with a phone call out there than you are here. We're trying to build that here, but while you're building here, you got to go take architecture lessons out there and then bring it back here and then build these buildings like stellar, like they do out there. And once we have Warner Bros. Wanting to set up shop in San Antonio and Universal wanting to set up shop, a headquarters here too, like, we'll know we're doing a good job when those major movie companies and major music companies are like, we need a fucking shop on Nacogdoches. Like, we need headquarters out there, because
it's kind of like what happens with, we obviously know that, like, Austin's like a tech city right now.
Austin's kind of doing
and
that.
so, but once somebody who was big time came out, it's like that started a wave.
Yeah.
And now you have a multitude of of different folks, whether they're hosting shows, whether they're in a different kind of profession, comedians, the Joe Rogans of the world.
Yeah.
They inspire, and they create movements, without really attempting, and it's like that can happen almost anywhere if you're creating that kind of, like, I guess
infrastructure.
Yeah.
So where they see it and be like, I need farmland out there because that's fertile land.
There's opportunity. Yeah.
So like if a bunch of people here do something cool at here and there times, and it's not really an infrastructure behind it, no intent behind it, it's just luck and things happening and hustle,
the moment type shit.
Then a major company that could change your life is not really gonna see it and be like, I can do anything with that. Like, that's just going to keep popping off like it is. But if they start seeing a system form and a lot of artists and executives out here are on the same page, then that's when they're like, we need to bring our business there,
Yeah.
And once, like, movies are being shot down the street, like right now as we talk, like, what I'm saying? Because Paramount Films is out there. Like, there's a whole, like what Tyler Perry did, like if people are doing that out here, it'll become that,
Yeah.
But just like those tech company booms in Austin, we need to treat music like a tech company and try to get the big heads to set up shop here. And then that way it'll be more fertile land. That way the artists here will be seen and more light will be on them. Not just from going viral or blowing up, but business wise, they will be approached by the right people that can change lives. Like,
for sure. I mean, like I said, I guess I didn't know what this conversation was going to be like, you know, and, you know, you just never know who you're going to encounter, you know, and that's the thing that, you know, I was expressing to Alan earlier was, you know, the fact that, like, you know, whoever we meet, you just don't really know what the conversation is going to be like. It's going to be a creative over here. It's going to be somebody who wants to start something over here. And you never know where you can, you know, play a role in those kind of things.
Yeah.
And, you know, just by you and the experiences you have, the things that you've gone when you've traveled and, you know, the resources you brought back with you. And now you get placements in certain things that people wish they had placements in.
I got a random stripper I met a placement on The Hype on HBO.
Yeah.
Like, she started working with me, and one song in, I got an opportunity. I needed a Meg Thee Stallion type track.
Yeah.
So, like, she had no following, no nothing going on. And then she was on The Hype on HBO on the first episode. The first thing you hear is the song that I wrote and produced for her. So I'm saying, like,
that's dope.
Like, yeah, going outside brings things back here, and then it spreads to other people who normally she would have just hired some producer and made a cool song and got three views on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But she got with a guy who went out there, like, you know, built connections, came back. And then she got on a show, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. But now imagine everyone's doing that. Now imagine all the producers like me just start going
branching out
all the videographers. Like, that's how I filmed and directed for Snow, the product, and, like, you know, produced that song. AJ Hearns, that's my brother. That's how I even, like, linked with her. But, like, honestly, he hadn't traveled to LA in 4 years. And when I was telling him my crazy stuff about, we need to go to LA, we need to go, as soon as he went, we made the songs Talk Back, Diamond Dance, and some of our biggest songs together, you know, and she jumped on them. And then I'm filming the videos out there and directing them and stuff. So I'm saying, like, that's how it works. Like, major placements and accolades come from outside. You bring them home, and then you get the love at home. Then you take over home with those accolades. Like,
for sure. And that's the thing that I think people want. You know, I remember back in the day, it used to be like, oh, we want to put our city on, because a lot of people who were chanting "put my city on" type stuff were not from here. They were representing their own, but they were established. You know, they put themselves out there to where they were a recognized face, and then the rest came, the rest followed, you know, and, you know, your city will get behind you if you a star, you know, and unfortunately, like, you know, I don't think we've got to that point yet, but I think that it's not an impossibility.
Yeah, it's definitely potentials everywhere. You know, y'all were just interviewing Bamsworth. He's another one. But upstairs, before he was doing his interview, I was just telling him about this new content game. Like, you need to be posting once a day, like LaRussell. Film all your content on one day for like 10 videos, like, instead of waiting to do each video as you go. Then life happens. But if you film all your shit in one day for the month and you auto schedule on Instagram, now it's dropping by itself. Even if you run into problems with your baby mama, or no matter what you're going through, like, your shit's posting itself, so you never fall off, and then you get back to it next month.
Consistency stays, yeah.
So that's the new game for any artist. If you're not posting every day on TikTok, you're not posting reels every day. They don't have to be crazy. They just have to be 4K cinematic quality.
Something
30 seconds a minute. You know, repurpose your old songs because no one else has heard that shit. Like, you think they did, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And just flood the game with your shit, like Lil Wayne did back in the day with mixtapes, and you will go. A visual, a song, like, don't do songs without visuals. Like, it's just a whole new era where a lot of cool artists don't.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm one of those believers of your songs must have visuals.
Yeah, or
like,
else it's for nothing.
And a lot of people I know, they will say, like, well, you know, I do this for, you know, for the culture or whatever the case may be. But I was like, yeah, but people like to see. A lot of people are visual, you know. At the same time, like, it's easier to promote something that you can see opposed to if it's just audio form.
Yeah, it's like releasing a soundtrack without the movie that goes with it. It just doesn't make sense anymore. So they're watching your movie. You're the main character. Is your channel on or is it off?
Yeah.
If it's off all the time and all they're hearing is music and no black screen, like, you're not
it just becomes background.
Yeah, like, you know, so you really gotta put yourself out there like a TV show or like a movie that's always on, right?
Yeah.
And tell your story too, like, because a lot of performance shots, cool, but some stuff talking like this where, like, what am I about? Like, I go through this, like, you know what I'm saying? You can film yourself like a documentary, but, like, you know, in the stool facing this way, not looking at the camera and stuff. That's what I do. I'll tell my story, then I'll put clips of me cool in slow-mo, you know, cooking up and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
a little B-roll action,
and ever since I started doing that, coincidentally, Alan, who's known about me for a long time, he's seen me go through all my accolades, but it wasn't really until I was putting out my content every day that he invited me to this wonderful event that I told him, I was like, you have no idea, but I've been wanting to be a part of this event since your first one. Like, he had my girl Gabby Annalise, who I developed back then, on here, and I was always like, man, I want to be on one of those one day. But when my content game for the past 2 months was every day. I know he saw that dropping. It just it builds gravity. And now all the things you've been striving for come to you. Like secondarily, instead of so trying hard to get it, you just keep putting yourself out. Your channel's always on, opportunities come.
Yeah.
But
eventually,
that's definitely what artists need to be on, especially here. Cause like I said, so many talented ones. I see them all the time, meet them all the time. Me and Bamsworth are going to link up soon. And once I start working with an artist, you always see them get a bump up because I play that role that no one wants to play. I worry about those things they don't want to worry about. Yeah. If they have questions, they get the answers, and it's like, here's you're already here. Well, we're going to get you right here by doing these things, you know?
And we need more people like that to help push these artists forward, because I do feel like we have a lot of, I hate to say wasted talent, but a lot of times it does end up being wasted where you let's just say you're doing music for 5 to 10 years, and then you know, maybe you tap out. Maybe it's like, you know, you didn't really get anywhere. But a lot of times it's because there was never that push. Or you didn't even have the resources for anything. And then you're just a distant memory at that point, you know, for the people who knew you. Yeah. And so I'm glad you were able to share some of those things. And I wish we could talk a lot more because, you know, like I said, you seem to have a lot of information. And so we might have to like run this back and, you know, have a sit down.
I've been wanting to do a full interview with y'all for a long time. IQ reached out to me back in the day to be on the show.
Oh, brother IQ, man. Yeah. Okay.
So like, like he was saying, let me talk to the guys, but he had reached out saying, like, so I've been wanting to do with y'all. But I do have a lot to talk about. You know, I work with Smooth Vega now, so I'm working with Crystal Poppin and Frankie J and Louis the Singer and all his people over there.
Funny story. I don't even know how I'm supposed to tell it, but I'm gonna close out with this. It's just I remember I got reached out to Miss Jeans from out there in Houston.
Yeah. Jeans, she's cool.
She had reached out to me when we first started doing podcast shit, right? And she's like, yo, this is artist who I think is gonna be, you know, making a lot of noise and blowing up, right? Her name is Crystal Poppin.
Yeah.
And I was all like, you know, I tapped in, you know, checked out some of her stuff. I was like, okay, I could see what she's talking about. Like, there's gonna be, I think something's gonna happen. And maybe a number of years later, something did. Unfortunately, due to scheduling, we were never able to set up the sit down. But I would have loved to have done that because, especially like now that I've kind of watched her journey, so I've seen her progression. So I feel like even if we do it in the near future at some point, I feel like there will be way more to talk about than we would have spoken about like maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'll holler at Smooth. That's her manager.
That would be super
partner.
dope. Yeah.
And she's in campaign mode right now, so it's podcast time. So
yeah, why not?
I'll try to.
And you know, not only that, but my whole point of doing these type of shows is like, you know, to sit down and really just have a conversation. I never want nobody to feel like this is an interview or anything like that. We're here to just, you know, the conversation that we could have, you know, at a bar is the same thing that we could have here. You know, the only thing is that people get to, you know, see and hear and learn information. You know, they get information from artists because a lot of things get shared here that people don't know about. They don't know about the steps you got to take for certain things. And a lot of our conversations consist of that, which is, I think, part of the importance of this platform.
That's what makes it special.
Yeah. So, you know, I appreciate you tapping in, and I'm sad that we haven't been able to do a show yet, but you know, it's not too late.
All right. You heard it here. We're doing one now. If they don't do it,
I said it here, man. You know, you heard it here first. But hey, I appreciate you, you know, sitting down with us, sharing the information you did. And, you know, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming show. I think it's going to be amazing. And, you know, shout out to Alan, shout out to Bamsworth for being here as well. And, you know, we're definitely going to do a lot of things. I'm glad that we're acquainted now. I think that, you know, with these type of networking opportunities, only more can happen from here on. So,
agreed.
Hey, I appreciate you coming through.
You too, brother.
And, you know, we'll have to bring him onto the show next time, man.
Oh, yeah.
For sure,
Shout
man.
out
Yo,
Alan, Mind and Soul. You know,
yeah, for sure, man. Make sure April 12th, y'all pull up for the show, man. We're going to have all the information. We're going to be posting it. It's gonna be a dope time, man. So yeah, man. I think this is episode 352. Damn. We'll see what time we get you on, man.
Already,
for sure, man.
I want 356 at least. Let's call it now. No.
We'll see. We'll figure something out. We might have to talk, man. But yeah, man. Yo, episode 352 of the CSP, man. We out of here.